One thing I've realised since learning to fly is that pilots slowly accumulate loads of stuff in their flight bags, and a lot of it we never actually get round to using. When I was a student pilot, I carried all sorts of stuff because I thought that's what pilots were supposed to do. So today I thought I'd properly empty out my pilot bag, look at what I still genuinely use and what I probably don't need anymore, and whether there's anything in there that actually should be added as a UK GA pilot. Hi, I'm Dale and this is Left Seat Culture, a channel about flying, gear and the culture of aviation. Most of what I cover is general aviation, but hopefully it's of interest to all pilots, whatever it is that you fly. So this is it, this is my flight bag. I'm going to go through what's inside. This is something that I think lots of pilots do on YouTube, so I thought why not get on the bandwagon. But like I said in the intro, more because I want to sort out a few things to make sure I'm carrying the right things, and also in some other videos I've got a couple of other flight bags that I'm going to review in the future for different purposes. So this bag in particular, I've been using it since around 2023 I want to say, and it's perfect for what I want. A nice good size, especially for in GA aircraft. There's not particularly loads of room, so it's nice to have a smaller bag. Some people prefer, I guess, the professional all black look. I like to have a little bit of pop of colour, but the reason why I'm looking at some other bags is obviously this is great to be carrying around, but if the weather's nice in the future, I've been saying this ever since I started flying, perhaps I'll go down to the airfield on my motorcycle or something. So in those situations, a rucksack or sling bag or something might be more appropriate, and that's also another reason why I want to have a clear out, see what I've got. So let's just go through, show you what I have and keep in my bag, and see if there's stuff that should stay in here or should be removed. A couple of things I don't have any fuel testers or anything like that, because both of the aircraft I fly have those in the cockpit, so I don't carry them around. Additionally, I do have them in like my bag of general aviation stuff should I end up flying an aircraft where I'd need those. So in the front pouch here I keep my logbook, always fly with that, and then I also have my license and my medical in there as well. Obviously there is a slight risk that you could lose it. I know lots of pilots don't necessarily carry them, but I think officially obviously you are supposed to carry those. So I keep that in the front. Then if we zip open the first compartment, in here I keep my Bose A20 headset, so that lives in there. This is a nice kind of felt lined front compartment, so it's perfect for keeping expensive headsets in there. I also keep my end flight cable in there. As you can see, we have all the little bags, don't necessarily put everything back in there properly. And then I also keep a couple of AA batteries in here. They're just kind of mounted in that compartment, and then another two just kind of spare loose in there as well. So I've got 4 backup batteries, and that's all nicely kept together. Then in the middle section I keep my vest, which is upside down. So some airfields are more strict than others on wearing a vest, so I keep that in there. I then also keep my kneeboard, so that goes in the middle pouch, and then I also keep my iPad mini in there as well, which again, my electronic flight bag or flight book, whatever you want to call it. Then I also keep a few other things. A pee bowl. So fortunately it's never happened for either me or a passenger, but if you need to go pee, it's handy to keep that in your bag. It doesn't take up hardly any room. I will put some links in descriptions if you want to pick up some of these things as well. Also keep a sick bag or 2. These ones are really good as well. They've got some kind of like silica stuff in there, so if someone is sick in a sick bag, it kind of stops it going all slushy everywhere. Again, keep quite a few of those in there just in case passengers aren't feeling super happy. I keep a spare luminous vest because, again, if you've got passengers, again, certain airfields do want you to wear them. Typically the aircraft also has 1 or 2 stashed in the back as well. And I also keep a small first aid kit in there as well. So that's the middle pack all sorted out. kind of strapped around the handle so I don't forget it is I also have my Gloucestershire Airport ID badge and things. That just sits on their bag so I don't ever lose it. In one of the side pockets as well, I have just a flashlight. So again, if I'm inspecting around the aircraft, either at night or looking in the engine bay, even in daytime, sometimes it's nice to be able to get deep down and see what's going on in there. And then also strapped to the side, I have my Flying Eyes sunglasses, and then I have this little small capsule, and in there is some like fluorescent dye. So if the worst was to happen and I had to kind of land the aircraft in water, I can kind of pour that out, and then it's quite easy to see from the air. And then in my other pocket I have a radio. I keep this with me for two reasons. It's helpful down at the airfield to listen to the ATIS before I kind of get in the plane to do any prep or anything. And also if I did have a radio failure, I don't know quite how helpful it's going to be, but it's good to have some form of backup with me in there. Then I go right to the back compartment. I keep a current map with me as well. Again, even though using Sky Demon all of the time, it's handy to have a paper map in case you have electronics fail or anything. Obviously, I have the iPad and my iPhone. I also think officially it's a legal requirement to keep a current map with you. So again, that's always in the bag as well. And then I keep the checklist book that I got actually when I first started flying. This is for a Cessna 172. I keep saying I'm going to make some A5 kind of bespoke checklists for the aircraft that I fly. I've started the template, just not got around to finishing it. So one day I will replace that with just independent checklists, and then just a bit of card for taking some notes on. So that's all about. So like that. And then finally, in this main compartment, I have a few other things. A pitot tester. So if you don't like to get up close and personal, I'm not a massive fan of it. All the bugs and things around it. You can, not the pitot, stall warner thing to push the air into that, check the stall warner's working. A small screwdriver. I got this one particularly out of a Ring security camera at home, but it's nice and small. Has Phillips on one end and flathead on the other, so perfect, doesn't take a lot of room. I typically use that for removing cowling and also for doing up GoPro mounts in the aircraft as well. A pair of nice warm gloves, but with the fingertips that work on iPads, helpful for in the winter. I tend to not fly with the gloves, but when doing aircraft inspection, it's handy to get your hands warm, basically, because it can be quite chilly in the UK in those early mornings. I then have this little kind of backup box of SD cards, again, mainly for filming. There's actually no spares in there, which wouldn't be very helpful. So good job we're doing this. Sometimes I get down the airfield to do recordings and I've left the SD cards at home. So that box is supposed to have some spares in so that it's not game over and I can't do some recording. I've learned the lesson, but not fully implemented it, which kind of sucks. I also have an air tag on my bag, so if I lose it or leave it somewhere, it's easy for me to find it. Also, again, back from the COVID days, again, when I was flying, I still have a COVID mask in here because if you remember, we had to wear masks in the plane for a little while. I also then have a rubber eraser for rubbing out any pencil stuff, and Tipex, one of those Tipex kind of draggy things for corrections. Again, either in my own logbook or in the tech log for the aircraft at the end of each day. I also have stopwatch. Again, really only use this during my PPL. It's still in the bag. Again, could question whether I still need to put that in there anymore. Who knows? Couple of pens. I have one of those. I always wanted one of these at school when I was a kid, but it's one of the ones that's black, red, blue and green. So again, just handy to have optional pen backups, again for my kneeboard or for writing tech logs or anything. And then one of these non-permanent Lumicolor pencils, and I use that for drawing on the maps because you can then just rub it out either with a wet finger or use a wipe or something. That works really well. And then I also have my head torch, so it also has a normal white light on it and a red light. So again, only have that in there really for nighttime flying. Obviously in the current aircraft that I fly, the Sky Ranger Ninja is not rated for night flight, so can't use it then. The Cessna 172, which is what I do my night flying in, it is obviously rated for night. I have a night rating on my license, but none of the instruments are lit up, so it's really handy to have a head torch there. And I think that's it. So that is my flight bag. Again, this bag has served me really well. I'm still going to continue to use it, but it's good to have some options. So that's it, my bag currently. I think when you're learning to fly, there's a tendency to over prepare slightly because you're trying to build confidence and you want everything in there, rulers, multiple pens, all sorts of stuff. And a lot of the stuff can stay in your bag simply because you never properly emptied it. I think in terms of things I haven't mentioned, on a longer flight, I might consider having a personal locator beacon. I might have a battery backup, try and have more spare batteries possibly. But I think like most pilots, I think the bag is probably always evolving slightly depending on the type of flying you're doing currently or you plan to do in the future. My tips are really don't overcomplicate your aviation gear. You don't need a really expensive equipment everywhere, and experience over time will really simplify things. One of the interesting things about aviation is that every pilot eventually develops their own system, and this is just what currently works for me flying light aircraft here in the UK. But I'd generally be interested to hear, what do you carry in your own flight bag, and the suggestions you might have for me. So what's the one thing you always carry when flying, or something you realise you didn't actually need anymore? Let me know in the comments, and obviously if you like this video, give it a like and subscribe to Left Seat Culture for more GA flying videos, gear, discussion and aviation content, and consider recommending it to someone else. It'd be much appreciated. And obviously if you want to join the discussion, there's a free Discord link in the description where you can come and chat. I look forward to seeing you there. But that's it. If I'm really lucky, I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself and goodbye for now.